and that's something. Thank you, Matt, for your leadership and contribution to the enthusiasm that we all share tonight. And I want to thank Maria and Fabio Trabocchi for their leadership in putting this wonderful occasion together where we can celebrate our values. Dr. Michelle Gabardon, thank you for your outstanding leadership as president of this vital organization. And my congratulations also to Senator Chris Murphy, whom we just heard from so beautifully, and Hassan Shure for your well-deserved recognitions tonight to all of you. It's such an honor to be here with Katie Martin, Richard Holbrook. We're so excited about the work that he has done. So many people coming here together. Queen Noor, oh my. And to all of you, each and every one of you, men and women leaders of Refugees International, thank you for your tireless global engagement on behalf of desperate and vulnerable families fleeing conflict, persecution, and disaster around the world. After nearly 40 years of leadership in every possible way, today the strong moral voice of Refugees International is more necessary and more urgent than ever before. Sad to say. The suffering in Syria, and especially the suffering of Syria's children, is a challenge to the conscience of the world. There could not be a clearer contrast in meeting that challenge between the conduct of some and the extraordinary heroism of white helmets here tonight, being honored by Queen Noor. The sarin attack in Syria this month was only the latest horror perpetrated on children and civilian families. Terrorism by Assad and ISIS, these families desperate for a place to live, innocent Syrian families have received rejection in some countries, including our own, under the Muslim and refugee ban. I have just happened to know that the American people have more compassion and more heart and more generosity of spirit than that. In our meetings and the rest and hearings that we have held, the evangelical community in our country has come to testify, and they have said officially that the U.S. refugee resettlement program is the crown jewel of American humanitarianism. And they were objecting to the limitations, of course, that have been put. We degrade our values and our security. We think this is making us more secure. We degrade our values and our security when we slam the door in the face of children fleeing atrocities. The world needs America's leadership now more than ever to spare children from tragedy, and not only in Syria. With the specter of famine looming over northeast Nigeria, Somalia, South Sudan, and Yemen, almost 1.5 million children will die of malnutrition in the next 6 months. Are we just going to stand by and let that happen? Many more will have their development permanently stunted unless we all act, unless America leads. Slashing the State Department budget and foreign aid budget by 30% would only deepen the crisis facing the children and contribute to the fury of despair in these regions. I think we have bipartisan support to resist that drastic cut. We must not stand on the sidelines and see them die, especially when our intervention could save so many innocent young lives. Don't you think we have a responsibility? God decided somehow or other. When I remember going to Darfur and seeing these children in concentration camps, how did God decide that they would be there and we would be here? But because we're here and they are there, we have an enormous responsibility. we have an enormous responsibility. Children need America to be their champion. We should be relentless, dissatisfied, and tenacious to protect them, as our honorees have been, and those whose the awards are named for have been. That requires a budget that honors our sacred responsibility to the children around the world who are victims of famine, war, and disease, not one that slashes the investments that young lives at home, really, and around the world depend on. We have the same moral responsibility to the child dying of starvation as the child dying of sarin, and that responsibility demands compassion and action. It demands that we have policy and a budget that is a reflection of the values of our country. And the values of our country are to meet those challenges. So we will make that fight. And as I say, I believe we will succeed in a nonpartisan, in a bipartisan way, as a reflection of the compassion of the American people. Compassion and action are exactly what the men and women of Refugees International bring to bear in the halls of Washington, in addition to the people of the world. Thank you, Refugees International, for your leadership. Thank you for your moral advocacy and your action. Thank you for challenging us to honor our values as a nation. Thank you for giving us all the opportunity to respect the spark of divinity that exists in every person, and recognizing that spark in ourselves to take responsibility to meet the needs of those children. Thank you all for the honor to participate this evening. Thank you so much.